The 5 key points to define and secure the correct fitting of the saddle on the horse are this. Number 1, the selection of the correct tree size. Number 2, defining the correct balance. Number 3, defining the correct contact of the panels on the horse. Number 4, width of the gullet. And number 5, the symmetry of the saddle on the horse. The point number 1 is very well defined by the clearance of the withers, together with the parallel fit of the points of the trees on the sides of the horse. The tree size has 2 elements that you have to be very careful with. The first one is the clearance of the withers. Between the horse's withers and the saddle should never be less than 1 3/4 inches distance. That's a minimum. Yeah? It could be, depending on the horse, a little bit more than that. The clearance of the horse has to go all the way through, so the saddle never touches the withers of the horse. Point number 2 is balance of the saddle. The balance has to match the balance of the horse. The saddle should not be tilted forward, nor should be tilted backwards. Either condition will create problems and pain on the back of the horse and should be avoided. These are the points of the tree. When the tree is parallel to the horse, it sits even, like that. If the saddle is narrow, the points of the tree will dig into the horse, and that creates a very bad sore point. If the saddle is too wide, it will dig on the top. So the saddle has to be absolutely parallel between the points of the tree and the horse. Point number 3, contact. The contact of the panels should be complete, steady, and receive most of the weight of the saddle. This is a dressage panel that has to sit and carry a full contact all the way through, from the bottom, here, on the top, and inside. The contact of the panel has to be even and complete, like is shown here with this panel. It is very common to see 2 problems. One is called breaching, and the breaching is when the saddle is sitting on the front and on the back, and there's no contact in the middle. That obviously creates serious problems on the shoulders of the horse and also in the back of the horse, because the weights are only in 2 points. The other problem that we have is when the saddle is rocking, because the saddle is not touching the ends, so the saddle moves like this. And that is incorrect. That is rocking. The saddle should not be rocking. The saddle should not be breaching. The contact has to be steady and even all through the panel of the saddle. Point number 4 is width of the gullet. The width of the gullet should be measured by measuring the width of the spine of the horse and defining the distance between the muscles of the back of the horse. If you see the spine of the horse, they have a very hard area, and then it becomes very soft, and after the soft area, you can notice when the muscle starts. You have to measure the distance between muscle and muscle, so you free completely the spine of the horse. That distance is the one that should be in between the panels. In my experience, less than 4 fingers in between panels might create serious problems on the back of the horse. The last and the 5th point of the fitting of the saddle on the horse is the symmetry. The saddle has to be perfectly symmetric, and you can draw a line in the middle of your saddle and make sure that the panels have the same distance to that line, and that the shape of the panels are equal both right and left. Horses are basically symmetric in their backs. They do have some difference in the shoulders here and there, but the saddle is supposed to fit absolutely symmetric. The panels have to be set equal distance from the center of the saddle. If you can define a line in the center of the saddle, you should be able to see the two panels in equal distance to that line. The shape of both panels has to be the same. And one good help that you can get is when you remove the saddle pad from the horse after you roll the horse, is to check the wet marks on the saddle pad. The wet marks are very difficult to define why they happen, because they are affected by many elements. But there's one element that must always be present in your horse. The sweat mark has to be symmetric. The same mark that you have on the right, you should have on the left. There should not be any difference between the symmetry in the marks of the saddle panel.